Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. And today's tip of the day, we're going to go with get informed. Get informed. Don't be a sucker. Get informed. And why are we going with that? We have two issues of the day. Today's going to be a little more news-like. And I'm doing that because there's just a couple of issues that are out there in the world at the moment, at this very moment, which is Wednesday, June 25th of 2025. And I'm gonna give you those two cases that I'm looking at. One, Carmelo Anthony is back in the news. He is going to be tried for a murder one, and that could potentially come with life in prison. And he's the young adult, old kid. I think he was 17. He murdered another track member, a different school, at a track meet. I've done a podcast on that particular one before. The other situation is the New York mayoral race has really piqued some interest around the country. And what I want to do is, we're going to infuse a little bit of empathy. I want to take a look at these things from multiple angles. So let's start with Carmelo Anthony. This one's a little tricky for me because there's no question that he murdered somebody. Like that isn't the question. There's a lot of pieces around it, though, that absolutely defy reasonable social norms. Reasonable social norms. So, for instance, the immediate declaration that this was a race issue. Maybe it is, but murder is still murder. So we got to deal with both of those things. That makes it particularly tricky in 2025 when it shouldn't be tricky at all. So if there was a race situation, meaning, maybe somebody was saying the most heinous racial slurs in that tent. The escalation to violence in this kind of manner, being stabbed in the heart, is exactly what happened, is mind-boggling that it would come down to, but he should be found innocent because of race. No, this is clear as day. Guilty regardless of race. This whole victim mentality, and I've talked about this so many times, is just absurd. If you think you're a victim, you are the problem. You're not a victim. You are the problem. There's very few exceptions to that. There are some cases where a person is actually a victim. If you get mugged, you're a victim in that moment. But as soon as that moment is done and past, you decide if you remain the victim. In this situation, to pull out he did it because he has been dealing with racial injustice for his entire 17-year life. Absurd. Even if it's true, and I'm not saying that it isn't true, but it's absurd. That is not a reason to stab somebody in the heart. That's absolutely wrong. And here at Healthy Perspectives, I usually go by healthy, unhealthy scales. This one is just so blatantly clear that is, one, it's unhealthy for everybody involved to claim victimhood, to murder somebody, it's just so absolutely clear. But there's this interesting part of that case. The family has a GoFundMe page. Actually, it's not a GoFundMe. It's a Give, Send, Go page where they are raising money They have raised, it looks like $537,771. That, my friends, is a lot of money. And to me, that is the crux of the issue today. First of all, does life change as soon as you have a son who is a murderer? Yes, it can. And it can change in a big, big way. Dangers can increase. Absolutely. So the need for additional measures for safety may go up. There's this page where they listed it, the family. It says that they're going to use this uh, for a range of urgent and necessary needs that have emerged as a result of this situation. They're being the parents, the family of Carmelo Anthony, and therefore to not call him a murderer, which he is, it seems a little bit more reasonable in the sense that if you can't empathize with the family, having to say our son is a murderer, that would be insanely hard. That would be so difficult. So I don't fault them, but it is a lack of responsibility, which may have played a small part, maybe a big part. I don't know the family, but a part in the fact that their son is not taking responsibility for his actions under the circumstances. But it did go on to say safe relocation of the family due to escalating threats to their safety and well-being. In other words, they got to move. Now, give me $500,000, which, by the way, only $250,000 went to bail because they lowered bail from $1 million to $250,000. And then there's, of course, attorney fees and stuff like that. But let's just cut it in half, say $250,000 or even $200,000. In a lot of places, you can get a pretty decent little living situation for 200 grand. Because looking around the nation, there's a lot of people who don't even have 20 grand. So that's interesting that they're going to use it. I mean, I understand the need for safety, and if you can't understand that, you're part of the problem too. Let's be real. But the basic living costs, transportation, counseling, and other security measures, those are all real things. Those are all real things that this family may actually need now because of this situation. And this family and this young kid, an almost adult, being tried as an adult because he's so close to that border now of being 18 as an adult. What is their responsibility in this? Do they have any responsibility? Did they teach their son that violence was a reasonable answer to somebody who you don't like? Is that what they taught? Is that where they were in life? If so, I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand why people would fund that, because that is not a mature mindset whatsoever. And it's interesting because if you can't see that, you're also part of the problem, right? Making sense? Okay. The fascinating thing is they have had so many donations, and they continue to have donations on a regular basis. This has polarized our loudest, most aggressive sides of the cultural spectrum. And that is a recipe for additional violence, not additional peace and comfort and love. So my takeaway here is get informed about Carmelo. Always get informed before you donate money. And that's hard to do these days. People hide stuff all the time. But to the best of your ability, you got to get yourself informed, because the lack of information is going to put a lot of cultural influence into the wrong places, unhealthy places. Things like encouraging the victim mentality. Let's be real. One more twist, one more twist. If being relocated, being able to buy a home, being able to pay for security and food and all this stuff, if it's going to sound really terrible, but hang with me. If all you have to do for your family is kill somebody to make all of those things happen for your family, frankly, we're going to probably have more murders because, you sacrifice one for the whole family to have this pile of money. Like people have killed for less, I'm sure. Clearly, Carmelo Anthony killed for less than that. But then he got that. So what are we going to do about that? If you can't see that, you're part of the problem too. All right. Switch gears. The mayoral race in New York. This is super fascinating. This just really percolated in the last week. Super interesting. Get informed. So the mayoral race, what's it, Mamdani and Cuomo. This was the Democrat mayoral race that's going on. Well, it looks like Cuomo is going to get beat in the Democratic Party. Now, here's what's interesting. You can go and you can look at both of their websites. They're out there. But the interesting one is there's a lot of people pushing this agenda that Mamdani is Islam, and they're drawing a direct connection to 9/11, as if Mamdani was or is responsible for that. Not directly saying that, but they're saying we go from being murdered by Islamic terrorists to trying to make them the mayor of the place where they did the murders, which is an interesting connection. I think it's a Grand Canyon sized leap. I don't think it directly fits, and yet it does bring up some interesting issues. Does Islam, the religion, does it fit with the Western culture? Many people are arguing that it doesn't, and there's some good arguments in there that maybe it does not. Like, well, let's start with number one. And when you look at the loudest part of the Islam religion, they death to America, kill America, we don't like America, bomb the New York with airplanes that are theirs, with terrorists that are ours. Like, these are all not good pictures to paint. And so it is an interesting question. So what I did was I said, okay, let's set that aside for a second. Let's take a look. Let's get informed. Let's take a look at Mamdani's website. He's got a platform. And I'm just looking at it right now. I literally have it right in front of me. His housing platform is freeze the rent. He wants to freeze the rent prices in New York. Okay. Interesting promise. And, what are the consequences of such an action? What you're going to end up potentially having is a huge influx in places for sale with nothing for rent. That's very plausible result. And so the prices of property and the value of property goes way, way down. And yet the people who need to rent because they can't afford to buy are still going to be stuck not being able to buy and now having no place to rent, because what are you going to do? Force people to rent their places? I mean, you can't do that. You could freeze the rent, but then they just take it off the market and say, forget it. I'll just eat the cost. No big deal. Or I'll sell the place. Let somebody else come in and try to deal with that. So that's interesting. It's also very socialist in perspective, which I'm not a super political podcast. I do address current cultural issues and stuff, but what we could end up with is more socialist views. So let's take a look at what we have moving forward. He's got cracking down on bad landlords. There's probably some room for that to occur. I've seen some pretty bad landlords. City-owned grocery stores. Every time the government gets their hands into our direct resources, I have not yet seen it work out well. So city-owned grocery stores, if the city doesn't show profitability in their grocery stores, well, then what are they going to do? They're going to take more tax money. I mean, it's a way of raising taxes at the end of the day. Fast fare, free buses. So free, nothing is free, folks. If you can't see that, you're part of the problem. And then fighting corporate exploitation as a way of making it more affordable. No cost childcare. Free? Folks, nothing is free. The more I go down this, the more I see somebody who does not understand our reality. We cannot do these things for free. And if you can't see that, you are part of the problem. He's extremist so far in one major category. He views his ability as sort of a Robin Hood figure to come in there and literally steal and provide. That's what he wants to do. Not going to work. Hasn't worked yet. He talks the same way about healthcare. He talks the same way about labor. He's saying raising the minimum wage to $30 an hour. Folks, there is so much. Forget the Islam side for a second. Do you want that type of an approach where we promise to give or get everything for free when we know nothing is actually free? Folks, if you can't see that that's a bad approach, you are the problem. Definitely the problem. Now, I'm not saying that people don't need help from time to time. They absolutely do. 100% agree with that. How we go about doing that help makes all the difference in the world. It can't be handouts. Handouts don't work. You hand out, people keep their hand out waiting for more. You have to do something different than that. There has to be a model that moves and grows and develops them into productive citizens. That has to be the model. There's no way around it. If you can't see that, you are part of the problem. So thank you for joining us today. We went over a couple of things. We appreciate your time. Please like, subscribe, do all of those things, and we will see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.